There is an interesting place in Sydney, one that I've been fascinated by for a long time. It's a triangle that can be formed by joining up 3 stations: Macdonaldtown, Erskineville, and Newtown. As someone who lives in the public transport deficient suburban Sydney, there's something that just fascinates me about this triangle. Because if you live in the centre of this triangle, you live a 5-minute walk from not 1, not 2, but 3 different train stations.
This is the men triangle. No, I'm not an alt-right alpha male. I just took the first letter of every station going clockwise, and that's what I got. Please don't cancel me. Please, I need this. Please don't cut to the credits so that you don't have to listen to me. Ah, no!
Before I continue, massive shout out to my monthly Ko-fi supporters. Please do consider supporting me over on Ko-fi if you can. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already, and do check out the rest of my channel, your go-to YouTube destination for all things city planning, after the video. The main suburban line was constructed and opened in 1855, with Macdonaldtown station being added to the line in 1878. Macdonaldtown as an area was first subdivided in 1846, named after a Mrs. Macdonald, who was the wife of the man who owned the land. It became an official suburb in 1872.
Macdonaldtown station itself exists in an island platform arrangement, but it has only one blink and you'll miss it entrance, from Burren Street. It actually used to have a second island platform, located right over there, but this was demolished in November 1985. Macdonaldtown currently lies on the T2 Inner West and Leppington line.
Probably the most striking thing about the station, going past it on the train, are the seemingly endless array of railways stretching off into the horizon. There's something like 19 parallel tracks here, and I'm going to say it all in one breath. There's a T1 and T9 that bypass the station, the T2 which stops at the station, the Macdonaldtown stabling yard sidings where suburban trains are stored, the T3, T4 and T5 lines that all turn south right before Macdonaldtown via the Illawarra line, and the Everleigh Maintenance Centre. Phew!
Despite all of this, Macdonaldtown is only the 142nd busiest station on the entire New South Wales rail network, which, if you ask me, is pretty dismal for a station that lies barely 3 kilometres from Sydney CBD. This is probably at least partly because it's so close to Newtown station, which is barely even 600 metres away, and it's far busier. But also, there's nothing but houses next to the station. Macdonaldtown has to be Denniston's long-lost sister, because there isn't a business to be seen. In general, it's also just somewhat inconveniently located, given that it's located randomly on a pretty innocuous suburban street.
And so, it should come as no surprise that most people don't even know that Macdonaldtown even exists, and those that do question why it does. To most people, Macdonaldtown is just that station right before Redfern that every train on the T1 and T9 happily skips past. Macdonaldtown really is to the inner west what Denniston is to the northwest, a seemingly useless station that is endlessly memed online.
Although, fun fact, while talking to my mum about this video, I learned that back in the 90s, she used to use Macdonaldtown station when she worked at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. Oh, and that it was completely dead back then too. So, maybe they kept the station open for her? But as it would be, there's actually a lot more to Macdonaldtown than meets the eye. Macdonaldtown is one of the few stations in Sydney that isn't named for the suburb that it's in. It's actually located in Everleigh. But here's the crazier part. There used to be a suburb called Macdonaldtown, but something truly tragic changed that forever.
It was the 1890s. Couple John and Sarah Mackin resided on Burren Street and lived by adopting and raising the illegitimate babies of single mothers. Or at least, that's what mothers thought they were doing. In October 1892, shortly after the couple moved out, police discovered corpses in the backyard of their former Macdonaldtown home. Baby corpses. The couple had apparently decided it was cheaper to take money for raising these babies and then kill them. In total, a shocking 15 babies were murdered by the couple. John was executed and Sarah was sent to prison for almost 19 years. These were truly gruesome crimes committed by the couple, and the memory of these crimes has hung over the area in the centuries since. The suburb was renamed Erskineville in 1893 to try and shake the negative stereotypes of the area that arose due to the murders.
Well, actually, researcher Dr. Lisa Murray discovered in 2018 that plans to rename the area were approved in April 1892, 6 months before the baby corpses were first discovered. In actuality, there were plans to rename the area from Macdonaldtown to Erskineville purely because Erskineville sounded nicer, meaning more people might want to live here. Yes, that's right. They renamed Macdonaldtown just to jack up property prices. Some things never change.
Well, the area has still continued to be referred to as Macdonaldtown for the years since, and it still appears as a region on Google Maps. For real, if they wanted people to stop calling it Macdonaldtown, why wouldn't they have renamed the station? They did plan to rename it North Erskineville, but who knows what happened to those plans. To me, Macdonaldtown is just simply the bane of my existence, because it's always next to impossible to fit in on my fantasy train maps. Seriously, why did that woman's name have to be Mrs. McDonald? Couldn't have been, I don't know, Mrs. Flug? Flugtown would fit so much nicer.
Alright, let's head to the next main triangle station, Erskineville. Obviously I'm just going to walk there, because the stations aren't even on the same line. Look, I know the whole point of this video is to stress how close Macdonaldtown, Erskineville and Newtown are to each other, but it took me like less than 10 minutes to walk from Macdonaldtown to Erskineville. That's like a closer distance than me to my local bus stop. What?
The Illawarra line opened in 1884, branching off from the main suburban line down to Hurstville. Erskineville station was opened with the line.
Indeed, it's always been called Erskineville, even though Macdonaldtown was only renamed Erskineville in 1893. Don't ask. Honestly, every time I hear Erskineville, I still confuse it for Erskine Park, a completely different suburb near Penrith. So, yeah.
The station was actually originally located to the north of Erskineville Road, but it was inexplicably reconstructed in 1890, with this road bridge added at this time. As if that wasn't enough, it was reconstructed in 1912 to accommodate the increasingly growing pedestrian traffic in the area. I just have to say, what a beautiful station building this is. Beautiful timber construction, a transverse gabled roof with subtle vertical flourishes, gorgeous glass windows, and a very wide, well-incorporated concourse into the station. Erskineville has 4 platforms, 2 side, 2 island. But in fact, there were plans for 6 platforms. The current western side platform would have been an island platform, and a side platform would have existed further west of the station. You see, when the eastern suburbs and Illawarra line was constructed, these platforms were proposed as part of an upgrade to Erskineville.
They even started constructing this new platform before scrapping the plan altogether to save money. Typical. Indeed, we can quite clearly see what remains of this platform today. I was planning to go and film it, but they're doing track work or like station upgrades here, so you're gonna just have to deal with this Google Maps thing. Yeah.
Once upon a time, Erskineville lied on the T3, T4 and T8 lines, but currently it lies only on the T3 Bankstown line. When the Sydney Metro Southwest opens, the T3 will close, and T4 will once again stop at the station. Anyways, Erskineville is actually currently being upgraded, with lifts being installed to make it accessible as part of the Transport Access program. Brilliant.
Erskineville's usage is nowhere near as abysmal as Macdonaldtown. It's the 91st busiest station in Sydney. Not too bad. I like Erskineville, despite always forgetting that it is an inner west suburb and not some massive suburb in far western Sydney. The overbridge has bike lanes and wide footpaths. The nearby town centre is centred around a street. Yes, this is a street, as there are pedestrian crossings, wide footpaths, beautification with trees, nearby parks, and more. There's no high or even medium density development, unfortunately, but I'll let the station off with a warning this one time. Say it after me. A station shouldn't exist for a special few, but rather for as many people as possible. Alright, we're done with Erskineville. Let's head to Newtown. I used to go to Newtown a fair bit when I was younger, actually. There was a really good Chinese restaurant on King Street called Happy Chef, and oh my god, they sold the best fried rice ever. Unfortunately, they closed after a fire a few years ago and, well, they never reopened. What a tragedy.
Newtown is home to a lot of things. Bookstores, thrift stores, cafes, restaurants, pubs, theatres, and so much more. It helps business that it's very close to the University of Sydney. There's a certain vibe and energy to Newtown that's just different to Sydney CBD. Better, even. I mean, Coldplay filmed A Sky Full of Stars here. Such a great song. So if it's cool enough for them, it's cool enough for me. Unfortunately, they're not cool enough to let me use this song without copyright striking me, so I now have to talk over it. Oh look, it's a bunch of people. Oh look, it's the Coldplay guy. What's his name? John? Pete? Patricia? I don't really know. Okay, we're done.
And of course, Newtown has its own railway station. It's nothing like the other two in the Main Triangle. It's the 25th busiest station in New South Wales, which is no small achievement. I approve of Newtown. At least it has stuff around it. Pull up your game, Macdonaldtown.
Unlike Macdonaldtown, it opened with the main suburban line back in 1855. It actually used to be located a fair bit west from where it is today, but they moved it to its current location in 1892. We can see in this photo that it used to have two side platforms and an island platform, but it was reconstructed in 1927 to have only one island platform, as it does today. It's hard to tell standing here, but this is a bridge over 5 railway lines, with the station underneath. Impressive that they managed to fit an entire road intersection up here. God, I've always been in love with this assembly of signs. There's something so satisfying about it. Fun fact, King Street is actually the Prince's Highway, the same 2,000-kilometre highway that goes all the way to Melbourne and then Adelaide via the coast. It starts just north of Newtown, at Broadway. The overhead booking office remains from 1892, and just like so many buildings from this era, it is— oh, stupid bus, get out of the way, go, okay, you can keep going. And just like so many buildings from this era, it is beautiful. Pipped shingle roof, chimneys, a beautiful porch with gorgeously ornamented columns. Man, they really did build this beautifully. Now laugh or unsubscribe. I might be the first YouTuber who is asking my viewers to unsubscribe. Of course, the overhead booking office is now completely occupied by restaurants, but it wasn't long ago that it was the entrance to the station. If we rewind the clock, this is what the entrance to Newtown Station used to look like. Bruh, it looks ugly. This is hideous urban decay, plain and simple, and I'm so happy the government saw this and did something about it.
In its place is a beautiful concourse structure featuring images denoting the history of the Newtown area, and just so much more space for commuters to breathe as they leave the station. Brilliant.
Newtown Station exists in an island platform arrangement. Just like Macdonaldtown, the T1 and T9 bypass the station to its north.
Wait a second. I feel like I know this guy. Hey, you look like my girlfriend Amy. What? What?
This is the former Newtown tram yards. That urban decay I mentioned earlier, that was actually where trams used to leave the shed, before going out on the many tram lines that used to exist in Sydney, such as to Earlwood, Summerhill, Glebe Point and Canterbury. God, I wish they'd never closed Sydney's tram lines. Sadly, the Newtown tram yards currently lie completely abandoned, which really is such a shame. Having such a massive structure right next to a railway station is such a massive urban opportunity.
Its space could be transformed into a bustling public space, not dissimilar to the nearby carriage works, just north of Macdonaldtown in fact. Watch this space. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to the Newtown tram yards in the years to come. And there you have it. The Main Triangle has been successfully explored and documented, and hopefully I haven't been cancelled. I hope that those who live in this triangle enjoy living so close to 3 different train stations. God, I hope there's no more stations like Macdonaldtown and Denniston. I don't think I could take another station that has nothing around it for no reason. Oh, wait, I'm getting a message. Leighton Field? Never heard of it.